Hi guys, welcome back to the Library of Alexandria. And today, guys, I'm going to talk about my February wrap-up and the stuff I read. I actually did pretty decent for the month of February, considering that I'm also got like some big books. I have discovered the secret of reading really freaking long books, and that is to break them up over multiple months, as opposed to trying to read them all in 1 month. So, my reading month is like, I read this book. That is the book that I read this month. Book singular. I read a book. But that is not the case for February. So for February, I read 4 books. 4 books. And I had 1 4-star and 3 5-star reads. So, it's still a good month. I haven't had any 3-star reads this year yet. So I think that means a triumphant month yet again for the 5-star strumpet. So without wasting any more time, let's go ahead and talk about the books that I read. I'll go ahead and start with a 4-star read, and it's actually my most recent read, and I really, really enjoyed it, and that is Boosh, The Way of a Dan by Dr. Philip Chase, my wonderful friend and 20K aristocrat. If you do not know, his book, The Way of a Dan, will be coming out on the 21st of March. That is not the day when the audiobook will be coming out. That will be coming out at the end of summer, as I do not have time to record it until summer begins, because there's just too much going on with school, and I'm traveling to friggin' Rome, like, literally, I don't know, tomorrow or something? I don't know. Maybe I'm already there when this pops up. But, so, I have a video on this channel. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely check that out if you are still on the fence, or if you just want to get more excited about it, because it is good. And most people seeing it are more excited because of the things in it, even though it was not a 5-star read for me because of just some of the pacing and, things that happen for me are not the things that are necessarily in my bailiwick. That does not mean that it will not for most people. And because of just some hints that Dr. Chase has given me about where the books are going, I am confident of the next book. Because I'm excited for the characters that are going to be in it. It's great. If you're wondering whether you should buy it, you definitely should buy it. It has that classic feel, but the prose is not as dense or hard to read. Tolkien's not really hard to read, but sometimes it can be a little bit of a drag. Philip's book is not a drag to read. The magic is really cool. The priests are my favorite part because it's a really nuanced exploration of true believers and of faith, and it's like a close-up view of life and death and what you live for and being afraid of dying and that kind of stuff. It is excellent. So check out that review and go ahead and help Philip out by pre-ordering that book. I'll leave a link in the description of that as well. So moving on to 5-star books, which is Boosh, Dragonwing, and I gave this 5 stars out of nostalgia because there's some parts in here that are dumb. Really, this is really kind of a 4.5 star, really, if I was being honest. This is the first book in the Deathgate cycle, which is 7 books. I really think I only like the first 4, but we'll see. I'm rereading these. But I really did enjoy it. Like, it held up way better than the Dragonlance Chronicles. There's just some stuff that feels really like, oh man, this is a fantasy book from the 90s that feels like every other D&D book that starts with someone about to be executed. And so those parts, there's a lot that's super, there's some cliche stuff in it. And if you're also not aware, there's a wizard who literally names himself Sinistrad and, tells the girl he's like courting, she's like, my dad hates you, but I want to get married anyway. And he's like,
well, he's right to hate me because I am evil.
And she's like, no, you're just unhappy. He's
like, no, my darling, you should understand that if you marry me, you marry darkness.
I've never seen anybody so self-serious. It's ridiculous. It's a character. Like, it's a joke. It's Sinistrad. Fortunately, the book's not actually about Sinistrad. The other stuff is really cool, especially the anti-hero, main character, Haplo, and, Bane. Bane is the worst. You suck, Bane.
Who said that?
And Alfred's cool, bumbling butler. Hugh the Hand is an assassin. He's dumb. But there are some cool characters. I like the little revolutionary dwarf guy. Or what are they called? They're not called dwarves. What are they called in that? It's not dwerg. That's Way of a Dan. What are they freaking called? What are the dang dwarves called in this book? Maybe they're called dwarves. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're just called dwarves. I gotta know. The Gags. They're called the Gags, but they're dwarves. They're dwarves. So next up, 5 stars, Boosh. This is the Heretic Wars. It's a holy war. There is magic, but it feels very, very realistic. There are basically two plots. One is a holy war where some kings have been excommunicated, and there's a schism in the church, and there's a schism in the state. And so there's a war brewing there. Meanwhile, they're being invaded by the savages, the Murdochs. And across the sea has been an expedition to discover an untold land. I guess it's analogous to the New World in America. And over there is really creepy stuff. It is actually really terrifying. Like, that's the horror element of the book. Well, this is like the military stuff, and I just really enjoyed it. It's short. It like moves on at a clip. I like how it's divided, where the first half talks about the war and the second half talks about the exploration in the on the island, and then there's a little bit about the war at the end, building up to book 3. It's really good. Like, I don't have much to say about it. I mean, I'm gonna have a Hawkwood's Voyage review up where you can decide if the first one is for you. I think this one's better than the first one because there's hardly any weird, sexy stuff. Thank goodness. There is some.
Ew.
But there's hardly any. And it spends less time with, like, I don't know, the first one is kind of scattered among the various powers. This one is like, okay, this is concentrated here, this is concentrated here. And I really, really enjoyed it. I'm going to read the third book, hopefully this month if I can get to it, because it's quite short. And, I mean, this is just, like, it's just stuff that's right up my alley. Like, military fantasy based largely on, history. So it's like historical fantasy, kind of. But there's definitely magic and monsters and things like that. And so I like, and I mean, y'all know, Holy War is my brand. So yeah, the Heretic Wars, book 3 is the Iron Kings. The Heretic Kings, books 3 is the Iron Wars. That's it. So as always, go ahead and continue talking about what I've been watching or playing. I'm still playing the Bloody Witcher, y'all. Like, I finally beat Hearts of Stone, thank goodness. But now I'm in Blood and Wine, and Regis is amazing. Like, the voice actor of Regis is just phenomenal. Like, why can't people make RPGs like The Witcher? Like, why don't they take a lesson from CD Projekt Red and make awesome RPGs?
It was a griffin, an arch-griffin, in fact.
In that case, I'm grateful. Arch grateful.
So I'm in Blood and Wine. Hopefully I'll finish that soon, because I gotta play something else. Like, Trails of freaking Azure comes out the day after I leave. That's what I'm gonna be playing. But I've been watching, so now that I'm caught up on One Piece, I started Attack on Titan. I'm like on episode 9. And it's pretty good. I have a student who loves Attack on Titan and just keeps saying, like, just wait till after the first season. Like, the first season is mostly action-based. And, I keep messaging the kid and being like, what is happening in this? Like, why Titans are like, why are they gross? Like, put on some clothes. But yeah, it's really good. Well, it's good. I wouldn't say it's really good yet. I haven't like been compelled to keep watching. There's like 2 episodes in a row that I watched because I was like, what? So I'm hoping that it gets really good, but I am enjoying it. And again, playing The Witcher. One day I will actually freaking be able to move on past The Witcher. I love it, but I've played it again, and it's just getting long in the tooth because it's taking me forever and I can't play anything else. So, and once again, topping my ranks is Boosh. It's Cicero again. This is Conspirata by Robert Harris. This is book 2 of the Cicero trilogy. This read-along is still going stellar. Kyle and Anitha and I had a chat about this book. It's right up here if you're following along. And this one, I liked it slightly less than the first one, only because I really like how much time is spent with the Varys case in the first one, and then with Cicero running for consul in the first one. And there's so much time spent on maneuvering around the political system that's there. And because these are relatively like contained events, like happening in 1 year, they just spend a lot more time on them. And it's much more kind of a political, like law, like legal thriller. Like the first part is a legal thriller and the second part is a political thriller. With Conspirata, the first part is the Catalanarian conspiracy, which is phenomenal. But the second part is all leading up to the events of that. A lot happens very, very fast because it's over a number of years. It's not just the year 63 BC like the first part is. So while the first part is phenomenal, the second part I didn't like quite as much, though it is still fantastic. I think the second part of the third book suffers worse. It did not fare as well as this book did in its second part. But it's just a masterclass on the human desire for power and what you have to trade and what you have to give up to try to stay in power or accumulate that power. And sometimes, you think our guy is like has integrity, and then Oh. Oh, okay. You're just going to accept that bribe then. Oh, I guess that's different than when you were just telling someone they can't take a bribe. It's really frustrating to watch, but it is fascinating to see how the Roman political system is navigated, and it's it's a really, really good look into how our political system and the horse trading that has to go in ours as well. It's so good. It's a fantastic series. I'm going to do a video on why you should read this series, even if you don't like ancient Rome, when I'm done. We'll have a discussion about Dictator at the end of this month or the beginning of next month, more likely. And then I will call that a successful read-along. And, I haven't had one of those since the death of the Emperor's Blades, in which a woman cannot sit the unhewn throne. In addition, I've been reading, every time I finish a book, I read a short story from Father of Lies by K.J. Parker, that short story collection. I'm on the last one, and then I'll be done with that, thank goodness. And I have also I completed part 1 of Way of Kings, which I'm reading along with my wife. It is fine. Like, don't come at me. It's fine, and I liked the last chapter, but y'all, Shallan isn't funny. I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you that. Like, Shallan isn't funny. And if you have a freaking poster of Shallan up in your room and, you dream about her every night and you want to be like, you're not funny. Okay. Like, I'm okay. You're right. Like, a lot of times, like, I'm not. I'm not. But I would like to think that most people are funnier than Shallan. Anyway, so it's fine. It's fine. I'm going to keep reading that. And I finished part 2 of the middle part of Shogun. So that was like, that should count as a book. It's freaking 400 pages. And we had a discussion about that as well. I'll link that up here with Tori and Alex and Joanna. There's a lot of more weird sexy time stuff in that book than I remember, but I can't wait for them to read the payoff. Like, we've been building up for half a book, this back half. I cannot wait for them to see how it pays off. So it's just been fantastic. So guys, that is it for me for today. What's the best thing that you read in February? And let me know down in the comments. Thanks, guys, for watching. As always, information about my Patreon and Discord is down in the description, and I'll see you next time, guys.